ColourPop has announced their Disney Hannah Montana collection, and the internet has absolutely lost their mind over it. Now, if you grew up in the early 2000s like I did, Hannah Montana wasn't just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon. We all wanted the blonde wig, the sparkly outfits, the microphone, and let's be honest, we all still at least know the words to one Hannah Montana song. So today we're going to be going through every single product in the collection, all of the prices, my first impressions, and whether I think the collection actually captures the Hannah Montana vibe. And of course, we're also going to be talking about the biggest consumer reactions, because while most people are genuinely excited, there is already still some criticisms. So let's get into it. Before we actually even start talking about the makeup itself, I want to talk about why this launch has actually brought up so much excitement. This collection is hitting a very specific generation right in the childhood. For so many people, Hannah Montana represents after-school Disney Channel marathons, singing into a hairbrush in your bedroom, and growing up alongside Miley Cyrus. We've seen a huge rise in nostalgia-based beauty launches over the years, but Hannah Montana makes sense because people have been asking for this collaboration for ages. So let's actually take a look at all of the products in the collection. So first up we have the Best of Both Worlds Eyeshadow Palette, which retails for $26. This has 16 shades across 5 different finishes: matte, metallic, matte sparkle, pearlescent glitter, and a brand new chrome metallic formula. Now visually, this palette definitely feels like the strongest product in the collection. And the name couldn't be more perfect because you definitely do get a representation of both Hannah and Miley in the palette. And when I look at the color story, this obviously reflects this. You've got glamorous, stage-ready shades, sparkly metallics, pops of color, and then some more wearable tones. And personally, I actually do like this concept. I think both of the color stories that they have chosen are definitely very wearable, and I actually do quite like the palette. I would definitely get use out of the pinks. And as you can see, I also do love using blue eyeshadow. Could they have gone completely wild with the pinks and purples? Sure, but I think making the palette wearable means more people would actually use it rather than just displaying it. That being said, I do understand some of the criticism that this doesn't scream Hannah Montana. If you removed the packaging and the shade names, would people instantly know who this collection belongs to? I'm not entirely sure. So next up in the collection we have 2 shimmer lip gloss keychains, which retail for $12 each. So first up you get Secret Superstar, which is a clear gloss with silver and pink pinpoints and a star keychain. Immediately these scream very early 2000s. And then you have the shade Keeping It Real, which is a clear gloss with violet and aqua pinpoints and a butterfly keychain. Lip gloss keychains feel incredibly nostalgic, and the fact that they go on clear makes them very wearable. This is something different for ColourPop too. I haven't actually seen them do these keychain type products before, but it definitely is very fitting to launch with a collection that was popular in that era of early 2000s Y2K makeup. This is definitely the type of product I would have seen around the time Hannah Montana was trending. These might actually become some of the best-selling products in the collection for that reason. Next up we have another new product from ColourPop, and that is the Stage Lights Roll-On Body Glitter, which retails for $14. Now this feels very Hannah Montana, or Euphoria, depending the way that you look at it. So this is an ultra glittery formula with opal, aqua, violet, and hot pink glitter. And I will say, it does look very pretty. And if there was one thing Hannah Montana was known for, it was sparkle. The stage outfits were sparkly, the concerts were sparkly. Everything about Hannah Montana was sparkly. So a body glitter in this collection actually does make a lot of sense. Body glitter has also been making a comeback lately with the return of Y2K makeup. This is definitely one of the more creative products in the collection, and I like that they actually did something different for once. No shade, but it's the truth. So next in the collection we have 2 lippy kits. Both of these kits retail for $16. First up we have the Rock Sensation Lippy Kit, which is inspired by Hannah. And inside you get the Rock Out the Show Lippy Pencil, which is an auburn shade, and a Smooth Talkin' Lippy Sticks, which is a pearlized warm peachy shade. And the second lippy kit is the Malibu Dreaming Kit, which is inspired by Miley. Inside you get the Take It Slow Lippy Pencil, which is a rich rose shade, and the This Is the Life Lippy Sticks, which is a warm rose cream lipstick. Both of these shades are pretty safe, and I feel like they do represent the characters pretty well. Obviously when you're doing collections you kind of have to make something that is wearable for everyone, and I feel like ColourPop has done a good job with that. Neither of the characters in the show really wore dramatic lip products, so I feel like they could have even done a nude and still gotten away with it. But it is nice to see some pops of colour in the lip products. Next in the collection we have the Double Life Eyeliner and Star Stamp Duo for $14. So it includes a black liquid eyeliner on one end and a star stamp on the other. I swear ColourPop had products like these a long time ago, but it is nice to see new products in collections. I feel like a lot of people will also use a black liner, and the star stamp is fun. It's great for festival makeup or if you just want to do something a bit more creative. And of course it's very on theme with the whole rock star vibe. And of course the final item in the collection is the Eurostar hair clip, which retails for $12. You guys already know how I feel about these. I don't love accessories in collections, but simply they're just not meant for me. Now obviously if you're a collector you probably do enjoy accessories that are on theme in collections like this. Personally I don't, and I just feel like it is a cheap way to bulk up a collection, but obviously I just don't buy those products that I don't want. However, for this collection I do understand why throwing a sparkly hair clip in there is kind of relevant, and I think it is fun for younger people who are buying the collections or if you just want it as a display piece, but personally it is not for me. So the entire collection retails for $110 and I feel like ColourPop's collections have been going cheaper and cheaper in price. I don't know if that's just me, that's just something that I've noticed, but I mean considering you get a palette, 2 lip kits, 2 glosses, an eyeliner, a hair clip and a roll-on body glitter, that is pretty reasonable. However though, I do think some of the products look a little bit cheap, and I did notice this in the last collection that I tried from ColourPop. Everything was very plasticky and cheap feeling. The roll-on body glitter is one of the products that I think is going to be the same kind of issue. Although in saying that, that plasticky look was actually very popular in early 2000s products, so it actually is very on trend even if it wasn't intentional. Something else that I wanted to talk about very briefly was the packaging. Seeing actual images of Miley Cyrus from the Hannah Montana era printed all over the packaging is kind of surreal. And maybe it's just me, but there is something kind of strange about seeing photos of someone from 15 years ago being printed and used on a makeup collection today. Now obviously Disney owns the rights to the Hannah Montana intellectual property, and if you're doing a collection about Hannah Montana you kind of have to use Hannah Montana. It would be strange if they didn't. But when you stop and think about it, these are images of Miley being used in her teenage years to market a makeup product in 2026. Now I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, I just think it's really strange. It was just a bizarre concept to me that those images are Disney's intellectual property probably for life, and that they can still use them in marketing campaigns 100 years from now if they wanted to. It's just one of those things that made me stop and think for a second. I just thought it was kind of weird. Of course I would assume that Miley Cyrus is being compensated for the use of her image, or at least I hope so, but it's just fascinating to me to think about how powerful nostalgia is and how these characters can live on years after their original shows have ended. It's simultaneously really cool and slightly strange. So moving on, let's talk about some of the criticism. One comment I keep seeing over and over again is every ColourPop launch looks cheaper and cheaper. Now personally, I don't think people are necessarily talking about the product quality. I think what they're actually talking about is the perceived effort. ColourPop launches collections so frequently that some people feel like they just don't get the attention to detail and effort as they used to. When you have a new launch every few weeks, it becomes harder for any individual collection to feel like a major event. And unfortunately for ColourPop, Hannah Montana is such a beloved property that expectations were always going to be really high. Another comparison I keep saying is that people think that Glamlight would have eaten this collection up. And yeah, I get it. When you think Hannah Montana, there is so much source material. Concert tours, sequin costumes, purple stage lights, microphones, guitars, red carpets, tour buses, album covers. There was definitely room for a more elaborate collector-focused collection. Imagine custom component packaging shaped like a microphone, a palette that opened like a backstage pass, embossed products, a fake concert ticket PR box. There was endless possibilities. Now that's not to say that ColourPop did a bad job. I just think people had such such grand expectations because of how much they loved Hannah Montana. So overall, I do think this collection is going to be incredibly successful. Not because it's the most innovative or revolutionary makeup launch of the year, but because it taps into something incredibly powerful, and that is nostalgia. People loved Hannah Montana, people grew up with Hannah Montana. And for a lot of us, seeing this collection immediately transports us to a simpler time. Do I think there were opportunities to push the concept further? Absolutely. Do I understand some of the criticism? Definitely. But at the same time, I think ColourPop knew exactly what they were doing here. They created a collection that feels accessible, wearable, affordable, and nostalgic. And honestly, that is probably enough for a lot of the fans. But now I want to hear from you. Are you going to pick anything up from the ColourPop x Disney Hannah Montana collection? What is your favorite product, and do you think ColourPop nailed it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Well, I'm going to finish the video off here. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content from me. And if you want to see any other looks that I don't create here, check out my Instagram at makeupwithalex. All of my social medias are linked down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!